Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to this special session focusing on learning from water conflict management. So allow me to the participants, the panelists and the speakers to introduce themselves. I'm Kasaun. I'm moderating this session. So let's start with Faisal. Then the others will introduce themselves sequentially.
Yes. Thank you. My name is Faisal Hashi, and I'm a USAID Ethiopia WASH advisor. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wondo Sansige. I work as Enabling Environment Advisor with CRWASH activity in Ethiopia, and I participate here as a presenter. Thank you.
Tasfa?
Hello, my name is Tasfa Aklilu from the Minister of Water and Energy, Climate Resilience WASH sub-program, under one WASH program, technical lead.
Hi Kasahun, my name is Ahmed Hussein. I am CR WASH from Resida organization. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Subalo Wandosan. I work in Friendship Support Association as a program director. I'm just participating and presenting some experiences of my organization. Thank you.
Morning and good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are. My name is Sintayo Organa. I'm working for Alliance Biodiversity International and SIATS. I'm a researcher working in the area of early warning related to rangeland resources. Back to you, Kasao.
Okay, thank you all for your introduction. So we'll start our session with opening remarks. That will be done by Faisal. Over to you, Faisal.
Thank you, Kasahun. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining all. My name is Faisal Hashi. I'm the Water Security, Sanitation, and Hygiene Advisor for USAID Ethiopia. It's an honor to be here with you today. I'm very proud to support and participate in this important session on learning from water conflict mitigation in Ethiopia's lowland regions at this 2024 World Water Week event. The lowland regions of Ethiopia are namely Afar, Somali, lower parts of Oromia, and South Ethiopia. USAID, through the Climate Resilient Water Sanitation and CR WASH activity, is committed to improving access to and use of clean water and sanitation services. Our mission is to enhance the resilience of communities, particularly those in regions vulnerable to climate change. By focusing on sustainable water management practices, we aim to ensure that communities have reliable access to safe water, which is a fundamental for health, economic development, and overall well-being. Water is a vital resource and it sustains life. Yet in Ethiopia's lowland regions, competition over limited water resource often is a source of a conflict, mainly among pastoral communities. In addition, communities in these regions are frequently the most impacted by climate variability, and therefore water is critical to their fundamental resilience as well as their livelihoods and health. Furthermore, mitigating water-related involves more than resolving disputes. It entails and encourages collaboration, developing trust, and designing resilient systems that can withstand social and ecological stresses. Key government stakeholders in Ethiopia, USAID, and development partners value that addressing these conflicts is crucial, not just for peace, but for the broader development of the region. For your information, Ethiopia, it's a high priority country. By improving water management and adapting collaboration, we can mitigate conflicts, enhance livelihoods, and support sustainable development for these vulnerable communities. With that, I would like to hand over to Kasahun, who is moderating for this session. Kasahun, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Faisal, for the nice word. So we're going to have consecutive 3 presentations for the next 25 plus minutes. The first presentation focus on key findings on the source of water conflict. This is the findings from the recently conducted study in Oromia, Afar, and parts of southern Ethiopia. Then it was followed by a presentation on the experience of FSA on the use of localized solution in managing water-related conflict. Then last, from SIAT, Dr. Sentayo is going to present the experience in the implementation of conflict mitigation strategy, particularly focusing on early warning system and advisory services. So with this, I will hand over to the first presenter, Wandasan. Wandasan, over to you. Thank you.
So this assessment was conducted in 3 regions, Afar, Oromia, and South Ethiopia. Please pass to the next page. Yeah, the assessment was conducted in 3 regions, Afar, Oromia, and South Ethiopia. So as you can see from here on the slide, the assessment in the northern part of Ethiopia was conducted in Afar regions. You can see here, and from the South Ethiopia also here in around Jinka, and in Oromia region also here you can see in the southern cluster area. So the assessment was conducted in these 3 regions and in 8 waradas, and this assessment will help us to know the regional variation and cohesion related to water and conflict cause, and also help us to assess the dynamics of the stakeholders in the area where this assessment was conducted. And when you can see the methodology, we have used quantitative and qualitative aspect. And from the quantitative data, we have reached 103 householders and 17 key informant interview and 6 focused group discussion have been conducted. Next. Yeah, let me start. Why do we need to assess the context of water conflict and stakeholder mapping in this area? There are a number of reasons that we have conducted this assessment, and the first one is it helps us to have designing inclusive and context-specific solutions, because we already have contacted more stakeholders, including marginalized groups, and we involved a lot of stakeholders. So this could help us, to develop a tailored solution based on the assessed context. And this assessment also helps us, to support the capacity building initiative. We can initiate different capacity building trainings, programs, and also help us to provide a technical support to the local communities and stakeholders on water conflict mitigation practice and what kind of conflict resolution mechanisms exist in that area. So this capacity building initiative was also one of the aims that we need to develop this assessment. And related to governance and institutional structure, this assessment will also enhance the governance and the institutional structure through strengthening the local institution to ensure they have the capacity and the authority to manage water resource and resolve conflicts. Yeah, this can be enhanced through system strengthening as well as providing technical support to those institutions who are available at the local context. And this also encourages cooperative water management practice. So there are a lot of stakeholders who are engaged in this area. So this could enhance the cooperation and mechanism that exists to solve the water conflicts. For example, there are water user associations at the community level. So if we enhance or integrate this water user association, they can have a cooperative solution to mitigate conflict in that area. And this could also assist in developing adaptation strategies and action to build resilience of the community. So in general, understanding the water conflict and stakeholder mapping could deliver essential input for developing a comprehensive water conflict mitigation strategy. Let me see the key findings that we have identified through this assessment related to the context. Water is really very essential and more important for human use rather than for livestock rather than human, because but the pastoral areas are more, their economy or depend on more on the availability of livestock. So if there is no water, the pastoral areas can't have livestock, and this can really impact directly their income, their food, and also their social status. So water is very essential for the livestock in these pastoral communities. And possessing water resource means is a power and also a wealth in these pastoral communities, because their power is measured mostly by the availability of livestock. So if there is no adequate water in that area, they may not have adequate livestock. So those who have a water access may have a power. And from this assessment, we identified that 91% of the water resources in these pastoral areas are shared between 2 and more communities. So this indicates that cooperative management may be very essential. And from this 91%, 44% of the shared water resource conflict exists. And 57% of the households also face shortage or access of for their daily basis. And the current political landscape also is a fueling for the conflicts over water, because there is currently there is a power dynamic related to the politics. So this can also fueling the conflict over waters. And the water management gaps are mainly from structural, technical, and the resource limitation. These three, the structural, the technical, and the resource limitation, are the major. And yeah, these are the major gap related to the water management. Next. Yeah, when we see the key findings related to the source of water conflict, there are a number of sources, but these are the key identified source of water conflict. The one is the water scarcity. The water can be scarce at the source due to the climate change and prolonged drought. The water may be depleted at the source, and due to poor operation in the maintenance system, also the water may not be easily accessible. So there is a poor management of the post-construction system. And ownership issue was also one of the factors. As you can see from my previous presentation, 91% of the water source are shared between different communities. So if there is no management system related to this, conflict may be arise. And tribal difference also one of the source of the conflict, because there may be a long-standing grievance or mistrust between different clans and tribes. So this can lead conflict. And wealth and resource ownership was also one of the main factor or the source of water conflict. Those who have a wealth may have better access to water resources because they can have their own well at their compound, and also better infrastructure. So this can, lead to grievance among those who don't have water access. So this can also escalate conflict. And the political intention was also one of the main source of conflict. There is a regional and local struggle. Sometimes the politicians may use water source for their own purpose to get support and also to undermine their opponents. So this can also lead to conflict. Yeah, these are the main source of the conflict that we have identified. Next. Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities, opportunities to mitigate this conflict. And from our assessment, we identified a lot of stakeholders who are engaged on this conflict resolution mechanism. For example, the regional government is the one who involved in this area, and the regional government can have engaged in policy crafting and budget allocation, because the regional governments are responsible for allocation of budgets. And they can coordinate also political dialogues. They facilitate dialogue between different regions and communities to address the water conflict and ensure cooperation. There are also zonal and Warada governments. They can involve in conflict resolution facilitation. The local governments play a crucial role in mediating and resolving conflicts at grassroots level. And they can also engage in water resource mapping and regulation. They are responsible for mapping water resources and implementing regulations to ensure the sustainable use of water. There are also stakeholders who are engaged at the community level. There are community leaders or clan leaders. So this can involve in mediation and the negotiation initiation, because there are traditional leaders who can mediate conflict and initiate negotiation between different groups and communities. So this can have the authority to respect with the community, and they are the vital for maintaining peace at the community levels. There are also local and international NGOs who have a crucial role in conflict mitigation. They can provide in technical support and policy advocacy, because NGOs can support for the water projects through advocating for policies and promote equitable use of access to water supplies. They can also engage in the capacity building and awareness campaign. They can conduct different training programs and campaigns to aware and build the local capacity to manage the water and also to manage conflicts. They can assist in funding and conducting political dialogue between different groups. So NGOs mostly or oftenly provide funding for water projects, and they can support political dialogues to address different water conflicts. There are also water managers, and sometimes they call it water father, that are at the grassroots level, at the community level, and this can play a crucial role on the fair water allocation and public awareness, because they are very near to the community. So this can manage, through creating awareness. They can manage the conflict at the community level through creating awareness to the community on the sustainable use and conflict prevention mechanisms. So by leveraging and strengthening the role and the responsibility of those stakeholders, I think we suppose that it is possible to develop a coordinated and effective approach to manage water conflict in the pastoral areas. Thank you so much. Over to you, Kasan.
Thank you, Anderson, for the wonderful presentation. So maybe a note for the participant: if you have any question, you can post in the chat box, so that we're going to have 20 minutes for a panel discussion. So we try our best to address those questions during that particular session. So with this, let me hand over to Subalo. Over to you, Subalo.
Thank you, Kasau. As my presentation topic indicated that I will be covering some of the experiences that my organization, Friendship Support Association, has had regarding the water conflict management. Just a brief description regarding our experiences. And also who my organization is. Friendship Support Association is established in 2007, who came from the pastoralist community in Afar. And also the organization has a motto of addressing the local problems through local solutions. And we are implementing different programs covering different thematic areas. WASH is one of the major thematic area that we are working on as the pastoralist communities are facing challenges regarding the water shortage and peace building, education, women and youth empowerment, livelihood, disaster risk management, agriculture, health, humanitarian response and recovery is the thematic areas that we are working on. With regard to the staffing, we are an organization of more than 143 full-time staff and also hundreds of volunteers working with the organization. And we have a national office or headquarters in Addis Ababa and regional office in Samara, as we are specifically working in Afar region. We have a regional office in Samara, and also Samara is the capital of the region, and one big field office in Awash Sabat, and also 3 satellite offices in different locations of the region. We are annually serving more than 100,000 of people with those listed programs. When we come to our experience regarding the water conflict, one of the experience that I'm going to share is in a community called Maritu. In this area, we developed water. It is a full package water that has a solarized water pump and also have different facilities like water points, cattle trough, and reservoir with a capacity of 50 meter square elevated reservoir. After we develop this water and start distributing the water, the communities from the neighboring area came to that village to get the water, not only for the household use, including for their cattle. However, the community, the Maritu community, perceived that this water is theirs, so that they were not interested to share this water. And the community coming to that village was not also interested to pay the fee agreed by the community through the WASHCO. So that this arises conflict between the women who fetch water, and then it grows to the level that male are joining that conflict, so that this becomes a community conflict or a clan conflict between the other communities. So after observing this challenge, we go through different community conversations and different dialogues between community leaders, community members, women, and other stakeholders within the community, and finally agreed that FSA will take different initiative that expand the water distribution line to the community, the neighboring community, and the community organize their own WASHCO and work together with the Maritu community through the WASHCO, and they control all the resources together and use that water together. So expansion work and reestablishment of WASHCO arrangement by having different WASHCO at different village, and then these WASHCOs are working together as one, so that this relieves the community. This is one of the conflict that we experience in our water project. There is also another conflict experience that we managed after developing another water, which is located in the Rogersa area. while the assessment was done for this specific location, the number of community members living in that area and also the cattle was identified. So the capacity of the water was very high and even could be used for other purposes like a small irrigation or small farming activities. But the water was designed to serve the household and the animal or the cattle's purpose. After just developing this water, the same is the marine too, the communities who were coming from different locations were interested to fetch water for their own household use. And also their cattle are coming with hundreds of thousands to just bring water from that specific area. This creates a kind of tension between the migrants coming from different locations. It's a very huge people coming to, and also.
No, I'm done. I was making the opening remarks. Yeah, I'm finished. You can close the last. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I sit over there. Now I'm just listening. I'm listening.
So
what
the increased
Thank you very
demand
much, yeah?
on the water supply, coupled with the
traffic was really
settlement
bad,
around the resource,
So I
led
thought
to. There is a voice. Okay. This leads to first tension, and then it grows to a conflict between the community that was targeted. I mean, the Derogersa community that was targeted initially for this water project, and the migrated community, so that it was a bit challenging for both the implementing organization and also the community as well. Then we negotiated with the existing community, the Derogersa community, to have a platform that they can charge those who are migrating to that specific area to pay fee so that they can support with financial contribution. And also the migrating communities were represented by different clan leaders, and the community members were willing to do that. And by doing this, the conflict was reduced, and use of that specific water was continued in a peaceful manner. The third experience that we faced was similar to the Marine 2. There is a community targeted by the project, but after developing the project water, communities which is closer to the Magali were coming to fetch waters, and also their cattle were coming to drink, but the Magala community were not willing to serve that neighboring communities, so that the conflict started with first the women and the youngsters, and it grows to a community level. Then after dealing with the regional, the Wereda government, the local government, and some clan leaders and religious leaders, we identified that the community were not working or doing things together due to several social and political aspects. So that after dealing with, as I said, the government, the religious leaders, and the clan leaders, we set a strategy to expand that water to the village that the neighboring communities are coming, so that the Magale community, who were not willing to give or share the water, was willing lately and start to share that water. So this, like the Marine 2, have a WASHCO that controls both water sources, which is in Magali, and also the other community, so that they work together and the problem solved. As we go through those processes, we learn some gaps in our activities. The first one is the assessment limitation. While we were doing the socio-economic impact and environmental impact before developing the water sources, we were very much limited in scope and also in geographic coverage. our plan was to reach the community that the water, the borehole was located, not considering the communities a bit far, the neighboring communities who can have interest to access that water. So this is one of the challenge or the gaps that we were learned during that process. There is also a gap we identified that failing to account the broader socioeconomic. One community considered the other as a minority, so that they are not interested to share resources together, so that it's not possible to have or to come together in a single water point to share that water, because one considered itself a majority and a respected one, the other one is not considered as a community that can mix it and have or share things together. This is also one thing that we identified through this. There was also a lack of understanding of potential challenges posed by pastoralism. That's relative to the migration one. As we see any water sources in a specific location, people who heard that there is a water developed in one community, they migrate to that specific location. They start even locating their houses in that specific location. So this trend has to be learned for future, and in our assessment must be considered. The other point is the socio-economic interaction. While community are coming to the water points, they might not ready to pay for the amount they fetch or for the water their cattle are drinking. So this has to be considered, and the bylaws and other activities must consider this kind of the pastoralist movements and new experiences. There is also a low effort to understand conflict trends among neighboring communities. Sometimes a long-standing conflict between two communities. When we develop water in one community, the other community wants to influence the other community by force, and they want to control that water. As Wenderson mentioned in a previous presentation, there is a political or a power dynamic in the water resources. The other point is, after developing a water, there is also post-construction challenges. As the water developed, by considering the local community, there is a migration, so that there might be a shortage of water, so that people may start conflicting one another to control and to have the sole control of the resources. As a recommendation, we already, as I mentioned, the conclusion part, I already said it, there has to be a comprehensive assessment, and we have to revisit the WASH core role. There has to be a consideration on the bylaw regarding people who are coming from other areas, how they are going to be charged in the fee, and also how they are going to be convinced, who is going to be communicated the representatives of the migrating communities. Thank you so much. This is all from my side.
Thank you, Subalo, for sharing these good practices in the use of local solution to manage localized water conflicts. So I think during the panelists, you're going to share with us, the sustainability, how extent these solutions were sustainable, and also the challenge that you face to implement this local solution. So with this, now let me hand over to the Dr. Santayo. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Kasao. Good afternoon or good morning, everybody, depending on your location. I will present from a kind of reactive approach to proactive resource-based conflict management in the lowlands of Ethiopia. Next, Kasa. My presentation focus on really causes of conflict in lowlands of Ethiopia and the way how to manage climate-induced conflict related to resilience also too. Next, please. You know that in Ethiopia, particularly in the lowland, livestock play a great role, mainly in pastoral and agro-pastoral area. There is the only source of livelihood and also really provide more than 65% of the population depending on that. Next, please. So in this area, really resources, particularly natural resources, including pasture and water, the availability of society, institutions, and livelihood depending on livestock is really a key for the existence of those ecosystems. Next, please. So those communities in the lowland area, they depending on mobility, resource sharing, particularly pasture and water. Those are really one of the key in order to manage and build resilience. Managing water and pasture scarcity are a critical challenge in the changing climate. This is also a cause for conflict in those areas. Please, next. Because those resources are communal and explored by communities through mobility. So nowadays, there is really a great challenge related to climate that leads to heat stress, droughts, flood. Now we see different area in pastoral area of Ethiopia are exposed to different kinds of flood. And for the last couple of years, we faced really a very huge drought in lowlands of area that leads to agricultural fertility, particularly loss of livelihood, including livestock productivity and rangeland degradation. That causes for food insecurity and conflict. Please, next. You can see the picture taken from Borana, displaced a lot of people. So climate-induced shocks and stress, including droughts, flood, and other related to temperature and precipitation change causes for rangeland resource scarcity, mainly for related to pasture and water availability. And also currently there is an invasion of invasive species that affects the native, not palatable, that leads to loss of agricultural productivity, particularly livestock productivity and crop failure, and cause for livestock death. This leads to really conflict and internal displacement, leading to food insecurity in that area, and also conflict and displacement. Please, next. So this call for really an integrated approach. As I mentioned before, climate really a cause for water scarcity, food scarcity, population increase, natural disaster. Those together really leads to conflict, particularly scarcity of resources that bring communities together and enhance the contact between them. That really causes conflict and internal displacement. Please, next. So such kinds of action caused by climate lead to rangeland resource scarcity and leads to competition, particularly those depending on pasture and water, are really a real cause for conflict. So we found that water point and grazing land are a source of conflict because of access to these key resources and availability. Those are really a great path to address through root cause of conflict. Please, next. Next, please. So, yeah, as I mentioned, that climate change bring rangeland resource scarcity. You can see from the map displacement across Ethiopia from November 2022 to January 2023. Most of the are really climate-induced resource scarcity. Those climate-induced scarcity causes conflict and also displacement for the community. Please, next. So we, Alliance Biodiversity International and SEAT, together with Ministry of Agriculture and Ethiopian Institute of Agricultural Research collaboratively developed a water and pasture resource monitoring and forecasting system. And this system is deployed in a government institution at Ethiopian Institute of Agriculture Research to strengthen lowland resilience and conflict management strategy. This platform developed using a user-centered approach that brings together the indigenous knowledge, the interest of the local community, and other policymakers, including decision makers. Then we developed a water resource monitoring and forecasting system. This system contains different modules, including water resource monitoring and forecasting, pasture monitoring and forecasting, the route towards really the nearest resource availability, and also including the advisory services. You can see from the platform, the monitoring system, including water, forage, and also provide advisory services, how to reach that resource through different pathways. Please, next. So this is really bring together, including climate, pasture, water. We used a ground truthing monitoring system with a satellite system and bringing together different data from different sources. This was done in collaboration with USAID and NASA, and approach using human-centered approach. And also we analyze the carrying capacity of that particular areas, including the number of livestock, number of people using that water point, number of species, how to mobile from one season to another. Based on that, we provide really a good information related to availability of resources, including pasture and water. Please, next. So what we did is, one of our aim is, this is a multidimensional platform, provide different services. One, based on a seasonal and sub-seasonal forecast from Ethiopia Meteorology Institute, we included rangeland resource availability analysis based on our system. Our system is a dynamic system that change in every 10 days and provide every 24 hours related to information, water and pasture in terms of biomass, excluding unpalatable and invasive species, water, including the surface water only, how much water is available, the level, the status of water, and based on that, climate and range resource availability information provided. This information is important, where to move to water, to graze their livestock, to make an informed decision. Based on that, also we provided advisory services to avoid contacts and use of resource in a sustainable way. That is a way to provide an early warning to reduce conflict. Because we provided this information through different platforms, I will come how to this information can help us to reduce conflict among groups. Please, next. So our conflict early warning system, climate-related advisory services are part of it. We developed a knowledge generation hub that is rangeland resource monitoring under the changing climate, including water and pasture availability, seasonal and sub-seasonal climate information advisory services based on the information produced by Ethiopia Meteorology Institute. Then we provide availability of resources, especially where and when to water the livestock, where and when to graze the livestock, and also the migration route, the possible to reach in each. Based on that, we implement those advisory services. We try to contextize based on the available information integrated from the local or indigenous knowledge, and we validate that information. And also we identified contextualized scaling up best practices from one water point manager, from one water point to another water point. Then that really helps us for conflict management strategy. Please go ahead, next. So this is a platform, one of the system provided related to water monitoring. No, back, please.
Doctor, you have now 1 minute to wrap up.
Okay, great. So this, the water monitoring system provided really the status of the water point, including the condition And also this provided really where and when to water the livestock. Based on that, they can make an informed decision. Please, next. This is early warning related to co-water, risk assessment, monitoring, dissemination channel. Based on that, they can manage resources and availability, and that helps to build resilience and conflict management. Please go ahead. This is related to pasture monitoring and water status. Based on that, we provided early warning and for decision making and conflict related to where and when to graze the livestock. Please, next. Please, next. Then this disseminated in various ways, including we provided agro-advisory services for the last 3 seasons. Please, next. So this is a community information system for each water point, how to use those informations, particularly related to water risk status, including good, watch, and alert. Every water point has a community information center. Based on that, we bring together.
Thank you, Sintayo. I should stop you here.
Please, one slide.
So it's
only
it's
one
a
slide.
time for a panel discussion. So
one
I
slide
think
remains.
I see. Can you
the
hear me,
next slide.
Sintayo?
Okay, this one is the one we provided information how to use those information for early warning related to conflict. We established pastoral community of practice in which Bagada is a pasture management system, the water point manager come together, including the local level institutes. Those are really how to manage, how to build, how to coexist together, how to really sustainably use natural resource in a well-managed way. So this is the way we used this as an early warning system.
Thank you, Sintayo.
Thank you.
Thank you all for the wonderful presentation. I think we will have now 10 minutes for a panel discussion on the questions and answer. I can see, some questions already posted in the chat box. Maybe I can read, and then the speaker will address them accordingly. Maybe to start with the first one, before mitigation, what are the strategies to make effective response, preparedness, and early recovery? So this is the first question. Who's going to answer that? I think the question is for all. It's not specifically addressing one presenter. Maybe Subalo.
Maybe this question should go to Wendoza. The question is saying that before mitigation, there has to be a strategy or a means to address the problem, I think. So.
No, you hear me, Kasan?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I think as I already mentioned in my presentation, one of the main reasons of conducting this assessment is, to develop effective mitigation strategies. So knowing of the areas or assessing the existing conditions or the mitigation is very essential, because unless we know the areas, it is very difficult to have, effective response and response mechanism. So one of the best way is to know and assess the local context and areas, how they are. There may be a lot of experience from the local communities as well, and may have different experience at the local level. So we can also assess and identifying if there is any locally adaptable solution for the response and preparedness mechanism is also very essential. And the other is even before construction of any infrastructure, it is also better to consider the design, what kind of technologies we need to develop. In that, maybe in the design phase, we can consider this thing as well. Yeah. Thank you, Kasan.
Okay, thank you, Anderson. Maybe there is one more question, particularly on your presentation, Anderson. It says that you mentioned the role of the community plays in management of conflict. I would like to know how can we better involve local communities in decision-making process to ensure sustainable water management.
Yeah, thank you, Kasaun. I think involving local communities is very essential, especially in the decision-making process for the sustainability of water management. So to make this, I think we can use different mechanisms. For example, we can involve the community in the planning phase. So participatory planning is one of the mechanism or the strategies that we can use, because engaging the community members in the planning stage of the water management project is very essential, and this can be done through workshop or community gathering. So this is one of the essential points. So we can engage the community during planning phase. And the other one is empowering of the local leaders and the community representative, also one of the mechanisms to ensure that decisions are reflecting the needs and the priority of the community. So empowering local leaders and community representatives is one of the strategy that we can apply. And the other is capacity building, also one of the strategy, providing training and resources to the community members to ensure their understanding on how they manage the water or how manage the conflict. And this can be through conducting a workshop, and also through using of different kind of technology. There may be different kind of water management technology, so we can build their capacity at the community level, and this is one of the mechanism that we can use. And we can also create a collaborative partnership. This can help to foster partnership with local communities, governments, and NGOs and other stakeholders who are collaboratively working through leveraging different resources. Yeah, I think these are some of the strategies that we can apply in order to engage the communities in the water management issue. Thank you. Over to you, Kasan.
Thank you, Anderson. There is one question for Dr. Santayo, so I can read it. It says, it is not only scarcity that leads to conflict, but also negative attitude relation which are developed as a result. Hence, how does your approach integrate dialogue and other mechanism of conflict prevention and resolution? Santayo?
Sorry, yeah. I mentioned that scarcity not only, but also attitude matters. So to avoid such kinds of really impacts on conflict mitigation and building resilience, we established pastoral community of practices. This practice is a platform for two-way of information exchange, from the scientific to that of the traditional knowledge. In the platform, both Abagada, Abadeda, Abarega, those are water point manager, rangeland manager, and also the local administrator are part of the platform, through which discussion and also the way forward put into place. Based on that information from the platform, from the scientific, disseminated into the local, through the traditional way of communication, through them also bring information into the platform for discussion to bring a solution together. That is the way we address such kinds of attitude change in our project. Back to you, Kasa.
Thank you, Dr. Suntaya, for addressing these questions. There is now an interesting question saying that this participant said, I have had the opportunity to work in the highland region of the Lake Tana Basin. There, I see tremendous watershed degradation, deforestation, plus grazing, which is which is channel to down cutting, lower water table, erosion, etc. Assuming similar issue in the lowland, does the restoration enter into your calculation of conflict resolution? Maybe I can give this chance to Ahmed or Tasfa, if there is any work done so far in this regard.
Kasa, can I say something? If they don't have.
Okay, just in 1 minute, Sintai, go ahead, and then I will give the chance to Tasfa or Ahmed.
Okay, great. Great question, Mikael. Just, there is a huge degradation along the watershed. But the context of highlands of Ethiopia is different from the lowland part. Maybe high erosion related to agriculture, particularly crop. Yes, there is erosion in lowland part from the watershed due to grazing, particularly during drought or resource scarcity. But in our case, not only really related to sediments and related issues, but also we considered in our platform evaporation from the water points related to issues. And also other, including the soil nature, also part of the analysis. Based on that, we have also really a ground truth. We already installed gauge. That gauge also depending on the location, it will tell us more information by combining satellite and ground truth. We considered it.
Okay, thank you. Tasfa, do you have anything to add on this? In 1 minute, we are almost
sorry.
running out of time.
Okay, sorry, I have not.
Okay. So let's see what else that we can address within 1 minute. Someone says that I would appreciate if the role of, I think to say MND in terms of supporting ongoing water conflict mitigation efforts in Ethiopia. So this is maybe related to evidence-based evidence generation and making decision in order to address ongoing conflicts. So maybe, Doctor, do you have anything to say on this one?
Thank you, Kasal.
We have 1 minute, sorry.
Okay. My suggestion is reactive approach may not be sustainable. So we need to monitor resources and provide really early warning in order to address conflict and resilience related issues. Those can sustain, and we can make really reactive kinds of approach to manage risks and also causes of conflict rather than really it happened. This is my suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
thank you for addressing this question.
It's good idea,
I think
and we
the time is up. We need to wrap up here. So if you have further questions, the speakers or the panelists as well will post their email address in the chat box so that you can reach out them, so they will respond to your question accordingly. So with this, we need to conclude this session. Thank you all for joining this session. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.